Have you been caught up with the Adderall shortage? You want to know what's really on the inside of this and what you can do? Stay tuned. There have been a variety of explanations for why we have the critical shortage of Adderall. It has forced many people to call lots and lots of different pharmacies in a Where's Waldo game of who has my prescription. One of the reasons given for this, and there's some validity to this, is that prescribing for ADD has increased. And this was long before the Adderall shortage was announced by the FDA this last October. The percentage of teen girls, adult women, and men receiving prescriptions increased starting in 2016, but especially between 2020 and 2021. This comes from data from the CDC, Centers for Disease Control. But the problem lies often with the pharmaceutical industry. For starters, Teva Pharmaceutical is the biggest distributor of both generic and branded forms of Adderall, and they have been experiencing what they call ongoing intermittent manufacturing delays. While there are other companies making Adderall, they just haven't had enough horsepower to meet the demand created by Teva, according to the FDA. When we look at Investors Business Daily, they contacted 7 manufacturers of Adderall and no one responded. Several companies' spokespeople told people that the DEA limits how much Adderall each company can make a month. The DEA hasn't raised those limits to keep up with demand, they said. But when you dig inside that, you find that the DEA says companies didn't fully hit those limits in 2020, 2021, and 2022. The DEA has not needed to increase the aggregate production quotas because people haven't been meeting demand in the first place. There's a lot of secrecy that surrounds the sale of Adderall. Most companies don't break out their sales data and disclose prices. The national average drug acquisition and cost shows how much pharmacies pay for medications throughout the US. The publicly available database shows prices range from 26 to 70 cents per pill for Adderall. But then we have the golden toilet seat and the $10,000 hammer. According to publicly available data, the VA, Veteran Affairs, pays $2.61 a pill for the extended release, and the cheaper version, the instant release, the agency pays $5.81 per pill. This is unfortunately another example of the lack of government oversight. And certainly, companies are really happy to gouge the government, as it were. Despite this scrutiny, there is a place for telemed. When COVID broke, they loosened the rules around telemedicine and prescribing of medication. This provided greater access for people in particularly rural areas or other areas that were way underserved. There was a stigma attached with going to a behavioral health provider. And a lot of people just didn't reach out till telemed became really the norm for how people are reaching out and getting mental health care. Second, there's always been a shortage of behavioral health clinicians, particularly in rural areas. Even if a patient wants to seek out this help, it may not be available in their area. It is a complicated process when one goes to diagnose ADD. We've also been faced with another challenge with companies like Cerebro and Dunn, which are essentially pill mills. They have jumped into this void. I have seen their work, and they are nothing but pill mills. What has happened with these folks is they've come under intense scrutiny. Many pharmacies will not prescribe to people who have obtained their prescriptions through these two and other companies. If you are receiving your treatment solely through telemedicine, things are about ready to change. The DEA has been in a process to try and put some guardrails. What was in place was the Ryan Haidt Act. It designated that people be seen once every 24 months to have controlled substances prescribed to them. The DEA sought out public feedback, and they closed this in March 23rd, so I expect them to come out with something shortly. What I anticipate they will come out with is a first session before prescribing stimulant medications needs to be in person. And what this is going to do is cause a reshuffling of patient loads. I, for one, have a number of patients in Spokane. That is clear across the state for me and easily a 5.5-hour journey one way. And so what I anticipate, and I'm beginning to see this already, is a reshuffling with people trying to find other providers. So what can you do in this Where's Waldo game of where can I find my medications? This is complicated by the fact that the DEA regulations give a very narrow window of opportunity between running out and being able to refill your prescription. Everyone in Washington state is tracked on a system that basically pharmacies go to see when you got your last prescription. Each state has their own similar organization. And the window of opportunity, it's very, very narrow. And so what people are faced with doing is playing Where's Waldo, calling a bunch of pharmacies, contacting their providers to redirect a prescription. A typical night, last night, I had 6 of these. And this is about average. This has really increased the workload for psychiatric providers. But it's kind of what we have to do at this point. The other thing that I'd advise people to do is go through your provider. Pharmacists, well-meaning though they are, don't really understand kinetics of medications, and I have seen some really interesting recommendations by pharmacists. And this isn't an indictment against pharmacists. Pharmacists do their best. They have a lot of very broad knowledge, but they just don't have the specificity to know about kinetics and absorption and class effects between types of stimulants. So go through your provider. So this has been G.H. Glade for Everyday ADD Coaching. I've taken a bit of a break, but this one has brought me out of my break. It is a dreadful situation that is messing up continuity of care for lots and lots of people. I plan to do a few more videos. My relationship with the YouTube algorithm is difficult. I encourage you to give this a like, share it with your friends, people who you know that also are dealing with the same dilemma and might want to know what's behind this. Till next time, take care.